The last time I spoke to my childhood neighbor, she sent me a Christmas card that simply said, "Still think of you sometimes." I meant to write back in January, but by February her house was empty and her name was in the local paper's quietest corner. I grew up in West Allis, Wisconsin. Not exactly a postcard town, but not a dump either. Just one of those places where everyone minds their own business until they can't. The houses sit close together, with thin strips of yard and chain-link fences that don't really keep anything out. You hear your neighbors' arguments through the walls, smell their dinners through your vents. Everyone pretends not to notice. 2 houses down from mine lived the Hargroves. They weren't friendly. Mr. Hargrove had this stiff posture and dead eyes, like he was always halfway to losing it. Mrs. Hargrove never smiled. She wore her hair tight and her mouth tighter.
No cocottes.
No holiday lights. Their house was dark, even during the day. But their daughter, Gail, she was something different. She was 4 years older than me. I was just a kid, but I knew she was different. Not just pretty, though she was that too, but sharp, observant. She'd show up out of nowhere. I'd be lying on my roof in the summer and suddenly hear a soft knock on the gutter pipe, and there she'd be, barefoot, whispering, "Let me up." She told me stuff no one else did. About her school. About the weird things her dad said when he thought she wasn't listening. About how she hated being home. She once told me, "I don't belong in that house. It doesn't even feel like mine." I didn't understand what she meant back then. Sometimes she'd come over with bruises. Thin ones. On her arm. Once behind her ear. She said she tripped. Said she bumped into a cabinet. Even then I didn't believe her. But I was a dumb kid. What was I supposed to do? She was 16 the last time we talked. I was 12. I still remember it because it was right after Christmas. We sat on the garage roof, and she handed me this tiny plastic snow globe, the kind you get at gas stations. It had a little deer inside. "Merry late Christmas," she said. I saw it and thought of you. It was the last time I saw her. After that, nothing. Her house went quiet. Shades drawn all day. No more knocks at my window. 1 week passed. Then another. Then her family was gone. House still full of furniture, but no lights. No car in the driveway. I asked my mom, and she just said, "People move. That's life." But it didn't feel like that. Gail wouldn't just leave without saying anything. Not to me. Years passed. I stopped thinking about her. Life does that. You get jobs. You get tired. I got married at 26, divorced at 32. I install HVAC systems now. It pays all right, but it's hard on the back. I don't have kids. Don't go out much. Last Christmas, I got a card in the mail. No return address. My full name on the envelope, but the handwriting was oddly familiar. It was neat, careful. Inside, it said, "Still think of you sometimes. Gail, that's all." Just that. No phone number. No explanation. I sat at the kitchen table holding that card for over an hour. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I must have read that one sentence 50 times. Still think of you sometimes. It felt like a whisper across decades. I told myself I'd write back. I even bought a pack of blank cards. I put them in the junk drawer, waiting for the right words. But January was chaos. A snowstorm froze the entire county. I worked 15 days straight fixing busted furnaces. Then my truck's transmission died. Then I got bronchitis. One thing after another. February 2nd, I walked past the Hargrove house. I hadn't been that way in years. The windows were boarded up. The yard was dead and overgrown. A yellow foreclosure notice was stapled crooked to the front door. No one had lived there in a long time. The next morning, I saw her name. West Allis Daily Dispatch. Page 6, bottom right. The kind of space they use when someone dies, but no one wants to talk about it. Gail Hargrove, 38, deceased. Circumstances under investigation. No picture. No obituary. No cause of death. Just her name. Like she never mattered. But she mattered to me. And that card, that sentence, it felt like a clue. Something about it scratched at a part of my memory I hadn't touched in years. A feeling I had when I was 12. When Gail once said, after flinching at a sound from her house, "If anything ever happens to me, promise you'll find out why." Back then I said yes because it sounded like a game. Now I know it wasn't. And I'm not letting this go. After I read that tiny line in the paper, I drove straight to her old house. The boards on the windows looked fresh, but there was no tape, no city stickers. That meant no one official had been inside in a while. I parked down the street and walked over. My heart was thudding the whole time. The front door had a padlock, but the side gate was broken. I slipped through the backyard like I used to when we were kids. The back door was still locked, but one of the basement windows was cracked open just enough. I laid on the frozen ground, pulled it up with my fingertips, and slid inside. The air hit me like mildew and rot. It looked like no one had touched the place in years. Dust thick on the steps. Spiderwebs in the corners. But the weirdest thing? The basement was empty. Completely cleared out. Not just messy empty, scrubbed. The floor looked newer than it should have, like it had been cleaned recently. But I remember this basement. When I was 12, Gail told me never to come inside. Said the basement was off limits. That her dad kept it locked even from her. She once whispered, "That door's not locked to keep people out. It's locked to keep something in." I always thought she was just being creepy. Now I wasn't so sure. I walked through the house. Every room felt wrong. Like someone had left in a hurry, but only after carefully hiding whatever they didn't want found. Drawers were empty. Closets, too. No family pictures.
No yank.
Like a stage set. Then I found the crawl space. It was behind the hallway closet under the stairs. I only noticed because one of the floorboards sounded hollow when I stepped on it. I pulled it up. Underneath was a square opening, about the size of a suitcase. I got down on my knees and reached inside. There was a box. It was sealed with duct tape, thick and tight. I hauled it out and ripped it open. Inside, photographs.
Hundreds of them.
All printed. None digital. Most were of Gail. Some from when she was a teenager, others more recent. In some she looked terrified. In others, sick. A few looked like they were taken through windows, like someone was following her. There were even pictures of her sleeping. And in the bottom of the box, a notebook. Not hers. Her father's. Every page was filled with short, strange entries.
Some dates.
Some just single words. Tuesday, she talked to the boy again. Thursday, I had to correct her. June 4th, punishment. I felt sick. This wasn't just control. It was something else. Obsession. Maybe worse. I took the box and left through the same basement window. Drove straight home, locked the doors, sat on my couch and stared at the photos for hours. And then I found the one that changed everything. It was a picture of me, 12 years old, sitting on my garage roof, holding that dumb little snow globe. And in the background, you could barely see it, someone standing behind a curtain in the Hargrove house. A face. Watching. I never knew. He was watching us the whole time. That night, I barely slept. I left the box on the kitchen table and kept checking the windows. Every sound made me jump. I wasn't sure what scared me more, what I'd found, or what might still be out there. The next day, I called the West Allis Police Department. Asked about Gail's case. The woman on the phone said it was still under review, but her tone was flat, uninterested. When I asked if anyone had spoken to her parents, she said, "Sir, as far as we know, they left town over a decade ago. No forwarding address." That didn't sit right. Because the pictures, some of them looked recent. In one, Gail had streaks of gray in her hair. She couldn't have been older than late 30s. That meant someone was still watching her. And maybe still nearby. I took the notebook to a friend of mine, Charlie, who works in a locksmith shop. Quiet guy but smart. I told him it was for a family history thing and asked if he could lift any prints from the duct tape. He gave me a look but didn't ask questions. Said he'd try. While I waited, I started doing my own digging. I searched for everything I could find on the Hargrove family. Property records, utility bills, anything. Turns out the house was never officially sold. No records of the parents after 2008. No death certificates. No new addresses. Just gone. But then I found something strange. In 2016, there was a call made to emergency services from a payphone outside an abandoned gas station on Greenfield Avenue. The transcript just said, "They're keeping her there. She's not dead. Not yet." The call was never traced. It got filed under prank. But I recognized the voice. I'd know it anywhere. It was Gail. That call was made 9 years after she disappeared. I sat in my truck staring at that report for a long time. If she was alive that long, then what the hell happened to her between then and now? That night, Charlie called me. "You said this box was yours, right?" he asked.
Yeah.
"Then why are there 6 sets of prints on it?" I froze. 6.
Yeah.
2 match each other, probably yours. One's mine from handling it. But the other 3, I ran them through an old database we have access to. One came back to a Jacob Hargrove, your girl's dad. What about the other 2? He hesitated. One's unknown. Not in any system I can access. But the 6th, it's listed as deceased.
Who?
Gail Hargrove. My stomach dropped. She handled this box?
Yeah.
A lot. Her prints are all over it. Whatever this thing is, she knew about it. Maybe she even put it together. I hung up and stared at the box. Why would Gail build a box full of evidence against her father and then leave it hidden? Unless she knew someone would find it. Unless it was meant for me. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. Not even Charlie. I just packed a bag, took the box, and drove to the only place left that made sense. The gas station from the 2016 call. It was still standing barely. Just a skeleton of what it used to be, half swallowed by weeds and rust. The payphone was gone, but the building was wide open. I walked through it slow, careful. Broken tiles crunched under my boots. Shelves sat empty, coated in dust. In the back, I found a locked door that led to what looked like an old storage cellar. And then I heard it movement. Not an animal. Something heavier.
Someone.
I stepped down into the dark, holding my flashlight tight. The smell hit me first. Old blood. Mold. Chemicals. The room was cold. Concrete walls. One weak light bulb overhead. And in the corner, a shape. It was a man. Thin, gray beard, deep-set eyes. He looked older than I remembered, but I knew that face. Jacob Hargrove. He was sitting in a folding chair, breathing hard like he'd been running. But his eyes weren't surprised to see me, like he expected me. "You came late," he said, voice rough like gravel. My throat closed up. "Where's Gail?" He laughed once, dry and cruel. "She left you a trail, didn't she?" I took a step closer. "Where is she?"
He shook his head.
"Doesn't matter now. Not anymore." I reached into my bag and pulled out the photos. Threw them on the ground in front of him. She was alive in 2016. She called 911. You were keeping her somewhere. He just stared. She ran from me. After all I did to protect her, she still ran. And when she finally came back, it wasn't the same. My chest tightened. "What the hell did you do to her?" She tried to expose me. Said I ruined her life. Said I'd pay. He leaned back, eyes cold. She didn't understand. She was mine to raise. Mine to keep safe. If I had to keep her quiet, I did. That was love. I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. "She came back last year," he said. "Knocked on my door in the middle of the night.
She was sick. Tired.
Needed a place to stay." He smiled. I gave her a place. I looked around the cellar. "You killed her." "No," he said. "Not right away." That broke me. I lunged. I didn't plan it. I didn't think. I slammed him against the wall. He laughed as I hit him. Blood in his teeth, but he kept smiling. "She hated you too, you know," he muttered. "You watched and did nothing." I froze. Because he was right. When we were kids, I saw the bruises. I saw the fear. And I said nothing. I did nothing. He must have seen it in my face. That shame. That crack. He smiled wider. That's when I picked up the metal rod from the floor and swung.
Once. Twice.
Again.
I don't remember stopping.
When it was done, I sat on the floor next to his body, shaking, breathing heavy. Everything was silent except the hum of that old light bulb. I didn't call the cops. I left the photos, the notebook, everything. I walked out, locked the door behind me, and drove home. The next morning, I drove back to Gail's house. Burned down cigarette in my mouth. Tired eyes. I opened that crawl space one last time and took out the snow globe she gave me as a kid. Inside, the tiny deer was still standing, unbroken. I drove to the lake after that. Threw the snow globe as far as I could into the ice-covered water. I didn't go to jail. Nobody came for me. They found his body 3 weeks later. No prints. No leads. Just a dead man in a place no one cared about. But I know what I did. I know what I didn't do. This wasn't justice. It was just what was left. So now, every year, when the snow starts to fall, I wait. For a knock on the window that will never come. For a card that won't be sent. And for the sound of Gail's voice, whispering from the dark. If anything ever happens to me, promise you'll find out why.